the important part of the struggle. The struggle was we survived. We survived because we had a power that was greater than ourselves that we looked to. That power called the power of God. And those two sharecroppers that picked and chopped cotton, they knew they were being done wrong. But the Bible told them. My sister Fannie Lou Hamer, she spoke these words. She said it wouldn't be hard to hate nobody, but she said I'm going to love them anyhow. They said, Fannie Lou, don't you hate them? Fannie Lou said, no, I'm going to be loving on them. In spite of what they did to that sharecropper, now you want to bring it home to reality, she was a sharecropper. And that sharecropper said, I'm going to be loving on them. And she said it didn't matter about the color of the skin. Fannie Lou Hamer said, I wouldn't be here just representing black folk. She said, but I'm going to represent poor folk. She was going to represent the Chinese, the Japanese. It didn't make no difference because Fannie Lou Hamer believed in Acts the 17th chapter in the 26th verse. We are all God's children. I'm talking about the spirit of a sharecropper. One who was beat almost to death. Her word, they said, I was beat till I was hard. But she still be loving on what? She walked and marched up and down the Mississippi Delta, teaching people how to register the vote, helping people to learn how to read and write. Where is that sharecropper mentality at today? Fannie Lou Hamer wasn't just caring about herself, but Fannie Lou Hamer cared about everybody that was poor and everybody that was lacking. And she walked till her feet were sore, marching with Martin Luther King and all the rest of them, because Fannie Lou Hamer believed in a God that loved all his children. And Fannie Lou Hamer said, I've been hungry many days. And since I got in this movement, it wasn't no more for me to be hungry now than me to be hungry then. But Fannie Lou Hamer got a platform in August in the Baptist church. Go to the meeting. And at the meeting, they said, we need some volunteers. Fannie Lou heard the preacher preaching. And when they asked for volunteers, my sister raised her hand. She had the highest. Oh, she was excited. Raised her hands higher than anybody. And on the 31st of August, it was 18 of us traveled 26 miles to Indianola, Mississippi to try to register to become first-class citizens. We got off of the bus and went into the office. They wouldn't allow but 2 of us in at the time to take the literacy test. That's what my sister said. But we took the test. And on our way back home, we was turned around by the policeman and the highway patrolman. And they arrested the bus driver that day for driving a bus the wrong color. She said that same bus they had been hauling them to Florida in off-season to pick fruit. That same bus took them to the cotton field. But when we get ready, brothers and sisters, when we get ready to move forward in life, us black brothers don't want to see one another move up. Some of us black sisters get jealous. We can't stand to see another sister rise and excel. But oh, when we got on that bus that day, Fannie Lou said the bus was the wrong color. When we started moving forward, we began to have a whole lot of problems. Because there's somebody out there, and they ain't just white anymore, that don't want to see you succeed. But Fannie Lou Hamer said, amongst us, we paid the fine that day. And on my way back to Ruleville, Mississippi, after I got there, I was met by my children who told me that the plantation owner was upset. I walked on in the house. It wasn't long before my husband came. And he said, Fannie Lou, he said the plantation owner is raising Cain because you've been down to try to register to vote. My husband walked on outside. I sit down on the side of the bunk bed. And by that time, the plantation owner came. We're talking about a sharecropper now. We're talking about somebody that chopped and picked cotton and kept time for 18 years on the Milo plantation. A woman now is sitting on the side of a bunk bed, and her husband is outside. The plantation owner with the mentality, I don't want to see you excel. Oh, nigga, you got to know your place. Some of us don't realize we saying the same thing Master said back then. The difference now is it ain't a black man no more that it's being said to. It's being said to by a black man to another black man, one black woman to another. Yes. Say it now, Fannie Lou. Oh, Pat, did you tell Fannie Lou what I said? Yes, sir. By that time, the old sister, the anointed woman of God, she walked to the door. And he said, Fannie Lou, did Pap tell you what I said? She said, yes, he did. He said, Fannie Lou, I mean that. He said, you're going to have to go down and withdraw your name. If you don't go down, you may have to leave here. And even if you do, you still might have to leave here. But this is when the table turned. She looked him in the face and she said, some of us can't do that today because we're sellouts. She said, I didn't go down there to register for you. She said, I went down there to register for myself. All the tables turned that day because sister stood up and took her rightful place. You see, some of us are called from our mother wombs to do some important things. Oh, but sometimes we are sleepers because God has to bring us to our season to stand up for him. And that night, that very night, Fannie Lou, after being 18 years as a timekeeper in a sharecropper on the Milo plantation, my sister left that same night. Because the Bible tells me whom God called and qualified. Many are called, but few are chosen. God don't make no mistake. Fannie Lou left there that night, and she went to stay with some friends of hers. Everybody that said they're your friend, we learned a long time ago, ain't your friend. But a friend will stick with you to the bitter end. Oh, but she went there and she stayed. But one thing about my sister, when God called you, he anoints you. Who he appointed, he anointed. He warned Fannie Lou, daughter, you better leave Robert Tucker in their house. Get out of here now. Just like he warned Jesus, Mother Mary said, take the son another way. They come in to kill him. But when God be for you, the devil in hell can't do you no harm. We're talking about a sharecropper now. Fannie Lou got the warning from the Holy Spirit. Get up and get out of here, daughter. Fannie Lou left away from there. And I want to tell you, that night they came and they shot 16 times. Because we are set out, brothers and sisters. Somebody told the man with the gun where she would be sleeping.
That's right.
And they pointed the gun right over her head and shot 16 times. But I want to tell you something.
Lord,
when God be for you,
yes.
Lord, the whole world against you.
Yes.
You can't kill what God has ordained. What he's ordained, he'll maintain. The devil didn't get Fannie Lou that time. I'm going to speed it up, but can I tell y'all the story? Woo! Is it all right to tell the story?
Yeah.
All right. That very night, Fannie Lou got the word. They've been at your daughter. But the Holy Ghost said, I got your back, Fannie Lou. You see, I told you to move. Now, all you got to do is just be obedient. I'm going to take care of you.
Yes,
no matter what the enemy try to do, I'm going to take care of you, Fannie Lou. That night, Fannie Lou got the word. They shot in the house 16 times. They had others that same night that the devil was after. But they didn't get Fannie Lou. But look out what's about to happen. Fannie Lou said it was June the 9th. We was on our way back home from a voter registration meeting. We stopped in Winona, Mississippi. There was 4 got off to use the washroom and 2 got off to use. Then she turned around and she said, no, there was 4 got off to use the restaurant and 2 got off to use the restroom, the washroom, she said. She said those that went into the restaurant was rushed out. She was being the elder of the bunch. God had a lookout on Bud. She stepped off the bus and said, what be the matter, children? They said, well, Fannie Lou, they rushed us out. They're not going to serve us again. And one of them said, well, I think I'll get the license plate so we can put it in our report. They went and they were spotted by the policeman and the highway patrolman. Fannie Lou starts back on the bus. Niggers! Sir, y'all are on arrest. Fannie Lou gets back off the bus now. One of the people that got off to use the washroom got back on the bus with Fannie Lou the first time. She stepped off to her own peril, but to her destiny. She stepped off the bus again to see what was the matter, and they said, we've been placed under arrest. When she went to turn around to get back on the bus, destiny comes. Get that one there. Place her under arrest. She said, when I got ready to get in the car, he kicked me. And on my way, they questioned me, and every time I tried to answer the questions, they would call me horrible names, and she wasn't allowed. But that was the turning point in her life. That night, Fannie Lou Hamer was beat. She was beat till she was hard. But Fannie Lou, do you think that experience stopped her from moving towards her destiny? No. Fannie Lou kept on marching for me and you. She kept marching towards her goal. Did she march that day? No. But Fannie Lou said, if it had not been for the murder of Medgar Evers, we would have been killed that night. But when the word came that Medgar Evers was murdered, they know it was going to be too much media coverage, too much heat. So we lived because of Medgar Evers' murder. But she lived to make her life count for somebody other than herself. We're talking about a sharecropper. Fannie Lou went on to leave that jail cell to tell people we got to love folks rather than hate them. And one night, Fannie Lou decided we got to organize. We got to get down here and let these folks know in Atlantic City that we ain't being represented. Fannie Lou got together with her group. They went to Atlantic City knowing that they was not going to achieve what they went for, but one of their goals would be achieved. We're going to let them know who we are. It tells me that night at the Atlantic City meeting, that evening at that meeting, that night the preview of her testimony played out on national television. Let me tell you something, children. This thing called sweat equity, this symposium and this ball is kind of like that meeting that took place. There are people trying to stop it and trying to block it, trying to keep the effects from going forward. There are player haters and there are people who are talking against what is going on. Fannie Lou Hamer that night, the president of the United States did not want that sharecropper that day to be heard. So what he did, he called a special press conference. The president can do that. But let me show you what happened. God said, when I be for you, I'm more than the whole world against you. That's it. What the enemy meant for evil, I'll turn around and make it to your good. You see, the time that Fannie Lou was going to be coming on wasn't prime time. But when the president stopped that sharecropper from speaking to the nation, then God said, okay, you got power, you pulling rein. But hold up, wait a minute. Let me show you who I am. That very evening, instead of them playing a few minutes of her speech, they played it in entirety on prime time. And the whole world got a chance to hear what the sharecropper from Mississippi had to say. I said all of that to simply say this. What the enemy means for your peril, what he means for evil, God will turn around and make it to your good. Fannie Lou had no idea that her speech would be aired all over the world. News media picked it up. It aired everywhere in its entirety. When God be for you. You can be a sharecropper from Mississippi. But when God chooses you to do good work, when he chooses you, Sade Turnipseed, to do a great work, when he chooses you to recognize the things that my people have went through, then he's going to make sure you have the resources to do what it is that he has called you to do. He didn't say it would be easy, but he was going to make it possible. Fannie Lou Hamer lived to be one of the greatest women, African-American women, now she wrote, to me in America, because she cared about somebody other than herself. And we need tonight to care about somebody other than ourselves. We need to get rid of that Willie Lynch mentality. Don't want to see somebody else succeed. Lying and stabbing one another in the back, trying to make it be all about you. Because what God has for you is yours. But what he got for me is mine. May God bless you from the sharecropper